100, and what's left is carbohydrate. Now that's a pretty sad definition of a compound that ranges from high fructose corn sweetener to Metamucil. Metamucil has almost 0 calories and is real good for you. Sugar is not that good for you, and so they are not even related, but they're in the same category, all right? And the reason is carbohydrates are just CH2O. Yes, water and carbon, that's it. So what happened is, when I first started in the early 80s, it was low fat everything, fat, fat, fat. That's killing us. We've got a big problem with fat. So they pulled it out, but it was replaced with modified starches and things with high glycemic indexes. And too many refined carbs can lead to diabetes and many of the issues that we have today in our diets. So the good thing about being in food is that not only is there tons of work in the future for us, there's a lot of work undoing the mistakes of the past. And so today, you hear things about healthy fats, monounsaturated fats from olive oil, and avocado fat, and all these health, all of a sudden you're seeing fat and healthy being put together. A new one that has come out recently is a FODMAP diet, and I don't think anyone's heard about that here, but here's the name, oh my God. Fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Yeah. And my opinion on this is that it's just like people that have never had beans in their life. If you feed them beans, they're going to have some gastrointestinal events. And so, and it's because your gut biome isn't used to those fibers, okay? Now, what's the answer to that? Quit eating beans, or do you need to go ahead and, toughen up your gut there and get the right biome growing and be able to tolerate those things? Well, a lot of people are, and I use the analogy of, if you haven't exercised in years and you finally get out and exercise, it may hurt, you're going to feel every little muscle and it's going to ache, and if you should describe that in a certain way, so I say, well, quit doing that. That's bad for you, where in fact you need to do more of that to be able to be tolerant to it. A lot of this, I think, is just weak, underutilized gut, and so a lot of people are avoiding things, whole classes of foods that have fiber in them, because it causes them intestinal distress. But that's what the FODMAP diet is. You see a lot of, which in the grains are on the list of don't consume. Gluten-free diets. 1% of the population actually has a disease called celiac disease, and they are intolerant to gluten. It will destroy the cilia in their gut. They will have malabsorption of nutrients, and it'll lead to diseases, and it's not good. But another 6% of the population are sensitive, meaning they don't have an allergic response, it doesn't destroy the cilia in their gut, but they feel bad, they get gas, they don't, discomfort, they may have some skin responses. And this is where we get into some of the ancient grains that I brought here. Some of the grains, like spelt, emmer, einkorn, khorasan, kamut, seem to be more tolerable. And this is the key here. Modern wheat has been bred to be more tolerant to fermentation and digestion. So this is what we've done to our wheat. Over the years, people wanted to get high-speed baking operations, and they put a lot of yeast, and they get the temperature up, and they want to go fast, and they found that the dough would break down. It couldn't quite handle the digestive process of the yeast. Like I said, yeast it's digesting things on the outside of it, okay, and then absorbing the nutrients. So it's using the same digestive enzymes that we use. So when the scientists write paper after paper after paper saying, I have fixed the tolerance of this dough to yeast, it now resists this digestive process from yeast. and it'll last longer in your process, and it's more tolerant to your process, and it'll make high-speed bread. And the next guy goes, I've done it even more. It's even less digestible to the yeast. Okay, great. But then finally someone says, you know what? I'm having trouble digesting your bread. And scientists, it's in your head, you know. Maybe, maybe not. Now the scientists come out saying, well, some of those things we've done to resist digestion in the yeast is causing it to resist digestion in us as well. But the good news is we still have these other wheats, spelt, emmer, einkorn, kamut. So, as far as the negative, I try not to get too much into the politics of it, but of those negative comments, some of them have a little bit of truth behind them, and we should pay attention. But there is an answer to each and every one of them. Okay, these are the whole grains that I work with. And it's wheat, and it's barley, and it's oats. Barley is probably the most underutilized grain out there. Some people have had beef and barley soup or barley soup. Most people don't really have barley other than beer. But barley has 3 times the beta-glucan or soluble fiber as oats, and oats gets to make a health claim saying if you eat these, you live longer. That's only allowed on like less than 1% of the food out there. But barley has buckwheat, millet, rice. These are the lists of the different. There's even some others, Kernza and Fonio. That makes it kind of cool, working with all these different grains. And that is it. Well, thank you, thank you.
Do you do all the baking at your house?
I do,
Do you?
yeah. Now, my wife is Hispanic, and so she made the tamales and the tortillas. But I have since competed. I've entered that realm, and I've made my own tamale, my own tortilla.
When you talked about like if you make donuts, you use more high gluten flour, what would you guys use for that?
Well, good question. So this Dakota Made
Yeah.
product is about 13 protein. It's sufficient for donuts, bagels.
Because I use high five bullet.
Oh,
But I
gee.
do feel like difference.
Well,
So the
no, I'm just saying, go ahead.
Dakota made would be better for those.
Yes, and so Bob, I call Bob up, and you can't see it on the nutritional panel here. And I call Bob, I'm using this flour. It seems so strong. Is it really all purpose? And he goes, Seth, we're Dakota Mills. All we have is spring wheat. Our lowest protein wheat is higher protein than the strongest bread flour out there. I'm not pulling wheat from Texas to make a 5-pound base. So
So that's good for
Yeah.
bread too.
yes,
Story
ma'am.
that I heard was, guys were over at the Oxidant plant, and they said, what kind of flour does your wife like? What kind of flour does your wife like? And, oh, she only uses Pillsbury. Oh, she only uses Oxidant. So we went over, got the bag, and went and filled this up. Went out, got the other bag, and so,
And
That's the
that's
difference.
because Dakota Mill up here, they make all the flour. If you look at the code, it says exact same printer. It goes from one bag to the next bag. They'll get to the other bags. You have to look hard, but this one says a blend of hot, soft, and hard wheats.
Okay.
So that you buy this Pillsbury all-purpose as well?
I, yeah.
whatever's on sale.
Yeah.
That's the only, so, because they didn't know.
If your cookies are getting tough or your pie crust is shrinking or something, you can try this one. It's a little softer. Like I say, we're sitting in hard wheat country, so
Yeah,
it's,
right.
it's for me, I like the more harder breads and heartier breads, and I'm